I heard them laughing before I saw them. My sister Violet, my fiancé's ex-girlfriend, standing 10 feet away in the church hallway, whispering like conspirators who'd just pulled off the perfect crime. They had. I was on my knees. Wedding dress spread across cold marble like a pool of white blood. Mascara streaking down my face. 300 guests waiting inside a church for a ceremony that would never happen. 20 minutes earlier, Aiden had walked out. No explanation. No apology. Just his best man's shaking voice. He said, "He can't do this." "I'm so sorry." And now I was watching the two women who destroyed me celebrate. Violet saw me first. Her face shifted. Concern replacing satisfaction in half a second. She rushed over, crouched down, touched my shoulder with practiced sympathy. Violet said softly, "Hazel. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. You'll get through this, I promise." I looked up at her, saw the flash of something behind her eyes. Something that looked a lot like triumph. I whispered, "Will I?" She squeezed my shoulder. "Of course you will. You're stronger than you think." She had no idea how right she was, because in that moment, kneeling in my wedding dress, humiliated in front of everyone I knew, watching my sister pretend to care, I wasn't thinking about how to survive this. I was thinking about how to destroy them. All of them. And I had 6 days of evidence that would make it possible. But 6 months earlier? The wedding was 6 days away. I had no idea what was coming. I'm Hazel, 30 years old. I close multi-million-dollar real estate deals for a living. Built my career from nothing while my family watched my sister Violet get everything handed to her. But none of that mattered to them, not until one photo made them finally see me. And by then it was too late. Comment below where you're watching from, and if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, drop a heart emoji. The night everything changed, I was working late when my boss, Owen Fletcher, appeared in my doorway. The wedding was 6 days away. Owen's tone was casual, but his eyes weren't. "You're marrying Aiden Herrera, right?" My chest tightened. I confirmed, "Yes. This Saturday." Owen placed a manila folder on my desk. He said carefully, "Someone sent this to HR anonymously. One of the assistants in the office, I think, someone who saw the pattern. I thought you should see it before you sign a marriage license." Inside were LinkedIn messages from Aiden to Owen's assistant. Emails about connecting, once he had better access to the right people. And then, buried near the bottom, a message from 2 months ago that made the air leave my lungs. Aiden had written, "Once I'm family, I'll have the inside track. She trusts me completely. She'll never see it coming." Aiden wasn't marrying me because he loved me. He was marrying me for access. For connections. For a shortcut into a career he couldn't build on his own merit. I looked up at Owen, throat tight. I asked him, "What would you do?" He leaned against my desk, considering. "Depends. Do you want revenge, or do you want to win?" I asked, "What's the difference?" Owen's jaw tightened. "Revenge burns fast and dies out. Winning? That's permanent." Something cold and crystalline settled in my chest. I told him, "Then teach me how to win." Owen met my eyes. "You already know how. You just needed permission to stop playing nice." By 3 a.m, every bank statement was spread across my dining room table, and the theft wasn't just obvious. It was methodical. $50,000 over 18 months. My hands went numb as I traced the pattern. Withdrawals always under $5,000 to avoid fraud alerts. Always timed within a week after I'd closed a major deal. The Riverside project, $3,200 gone 3 days later. The Hartley contract, $4,800 vanished. The Belmore deal, $5,500 transferred out while I was celebrating. He'd been watching my career like a hawk watches prey. Every text about a closed deal became a signal to steal. He'd weaponized my own joy against me. I'd spent my entire childhood overlooked while Violet was the favorite. Worked 2 jobs through college. Built a career from nothing. And Aiden had looked at all that sacrifice and seen an opportunity to exploit. Not anymore. I gathered every piece of evidence, made digital copies of everything, and went back to bed. 5 days left until the wedding. 5 days to find out if my sister knew, without tipping him off. Because the best revenge wasn't confronting him. The best revenge was letting him think he'd gotten away with it, right up until the moment I destroyed him completely. But first, I needed to know if my sister was involved. After dinner, I pulled Violet aside. 4 days until the wedding. I asked her directly, "Do you think Aiden loves me?" Her eyes flickered. "Just for a second." Violet responded, "Hazel, of course he does. Why would you even ask that?" I watched her face carefully. I told her, "Because liars always hesitate. And you just did." The silence stretched between us. Then Violet deflected. "Who told you that?" I stepped closer. "You're doing it again. Deflecting instead of denying. So let me ask you directly. Did you know Aiden was using me?" Violet's jaw clenched. She tried to minimize it. "Look, Aiden mentioned he wanted to transition into real estate. He thought maybe you could help him network." "That's not a crime, Hazel. That's what couples do." I cut her off. All the color drained from her face as I said, "For 18 months, he's been stealing money from our joint account. $50,000. Small amounts, perfectly timed after every commission I closed." I held her gaze. "When did he tell you? How long have you known what he was doing to me?" She looked away. Violet's voice was barely above a whisper. 6 months ago. He asked me not to tell you because he knew you'd overreact." The words came out flat. 6 months. My vision blurred for a second. I blinked it away. "You watched me plan a wedding to a thief. Watch me pick out flowers for a lie. Listen to me talk about my future with a man who was robbing me blind." Violet tried to defend herself. "Hazel, I was trying to protect." I picked up my purse. "No. You were trying to protect him. There's a difference. And now you'll learn what it costs to choose the wrong side." I walked away before she could warn him. Because that's what she'd do. Run straight to Aiden. But would she believe me without proof? Would he listen? 3 days wasn't enough to matter anymore. I couldn't confront him. Not yet. The day after Aiden left, Owen called. "I kept digging," he said. "Started the moment I gave you that folder. You need to see this." Owen came over that night with another folder, this one much thicker. He spread out screenshots and emails across my coffee table. "After I gave you those messages, I couldn't let it go. So I made some calls." He pointed to a photo. "This is Isabel Rodriguez, investment firm in Boston. Dated Aiden for 2 years." I leaned closer. Owen continued. "She found out he'd been using her professional connections and stealing from their joint account. The exact same way he stole from you." My hands started shaking. I asked, "How many?" Owen's jaw tightened. "That I could confirm?"
"For before you. Boston.
Chicago. Atlanta. Philadelphia. Always successful women with established careers. Always the same pattern. Always the same exit strategy. Wait until they get close to the truth, then bail for the ex-girlfriend." I looked at the evidence spread across my table. 5 women, spanning 8 years, over $300,000 stolen in total. Owen said grimly, "Aiden Herrera isn't just a bad fiancé, Hazel. He's a serial predator who targets successful women, exploits them systematically, and moves on to the next victim." I asked the only question that mattered. "What do we do?" Owen met my eyes. "We make sure he can't do this to anyone else." His voice dropped lower. "But if he realizes you're a threat." He didn't finish. He didn't have to. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was about protecting the women who would come after me. 3 days until the wedding. Did I confront him now and risk him disappearing, or trap him at the altar? 2 days later, something changed. Aiden had been distant, distracted, checking his phone constantly. That morning, he disappeared for 3 hours. At 3:45 on my wedding day, Aiden's best man knocked on the bridal suite door. The best man said uncomfortably, "Hazel, Aiden needs to talk to you. Privately." He knew. Violet had told him. This was it. I followed him down the hallway, my dress whispering against marble floors, preparing for confrontation. Aiden stood near the side exit, looking pale. He said, I can't do this. I stared at him, my dress suddenly feeling like a costume. I asked, can't marry me, or can't keep pretending? Aiden looked confused. What? He didn't know. Violet hadn't warned him. This wasn't about the theft. I adjusted my veil with steady hands. Nothing. So you're calling off our wedding?
Right now.
With 300 people waiting. His hands were shaking. Aiden said, I'm sorry. I thought I could, but I can't. My ex is here. She came to talk to me this morning, and Hazel, I still love her. I never stopped loving her. His ex-girlfriend. The one who'd helped him exit from every woman before me. The one who was part of his pattern. Aiden added weakly, you deserve someone who loves you completely. I held his gaze. I do. Then I asked the question that confirmed everything. Did Violet know you were going to do this? His eyes widened. Just enough. I stepped back. That's what I thought. Get out,
Aiden.
And when this all falls apart, and it will, remember I gave you a chance to be honest. Aiden tried to respond. Hazel. I didn't let him finish. I said get out. For 3 months I said nothing. Moved out. Blocked Aiden's number. Ignored Violet's texts. Let everyone whisper about the girl who got left at the altar. Poor Hazel. So humiliating. I heard he left her for his ex. Can you imagine? They whispered. I hunted. Because if Owen found 4 women this easily, there had to be more. A pattern. A trail. But what if they didn't want to be found? What if reopening their worst trauma would do more harm than good? I called Isabel first. She answered on the 3rd ring, cautious. Who is this? I explained. My name is Hazel Fletcher. Aiden Herrera left me at the altar 3 weeks ago. Before that, he stole $50,000 from our joint account. I have documentation of everything, and I think he did the same thing to you. The silence lasted 5 seconds. Then Isabel said, tell me everything. And I did. Within a week, all 5 of us were on a video call, comparing notes, matching patterns, building a timeline that spanned 8 years and 5 cities. Isabel, a lawyer now, took the lead. The others had rebuilt their lives too, an HR director at a major financial institution, a forensic accountant, a compliance officer at an investment firm. We were all successful despite him. And, together, we were unstoppable. We pooled our evidence and met once in Philadelphia. 5 women who'd never met before, connected by the same predator. We weren't just comparing notes. We were building a case that would hold up in court. But Isabel identified a problem immediately. The statute of limitations has expired on most theft charges. Without physical evidence of forged documents, criminal court would be hard. But professional misconduct, fraud in licensing applications, breach of fiduciary duty, those we can prove. My stomach dropped. So, he gets away with it? Her voice went cold. I didn't say that. We destroy his professional reputation, his licensing, his ability to ever work in this industry again. One of the women added, and civil court for the money. All of it. Another said carefully, but we need to move simultaneously. If he catches wind, if even one complaint hits before the others, he'll lawyer up, the compliance officer finished. Seal the records. Disappear. And we lose our shot. We had one chance. It had to be perfect. Owen checked in weekly during those 3 months, bringing coffee, never pushing. One afternoon he said, "You're handling this better than anyone I've ever seen." I told him the truth. I did fall apart. I just did it in private. Then I got back up. One night in October, he invited me to dinner. Owen clarified, "Not as your boss. As someone who thinks you're brilliant and would like to know you better." We went to an Italian place downtown. Over dessert, I told him about the coordinated plan, 5 women, 5 angles of attack. Owen leaned back, studying me. That's not revenge. That's a blueprint for ending someone's career. I held his gaze. Good. Because that's exactly what it is. Owen's voice softened. So is a woman who turns pain into power. I'd like to see where this goes. If you're interested. I looked at him and saw something I hadn't seen in Aiden. Respect.
Partnership.
Equality. I said, I'm interested. By November, Owen and I were dating. By December, we were engaged. By January, we were married in a quiet courthouse ceremony, with Isabel and the other women as witnesses. And by March, Aiden's entire world started falling apart. But not before one final complication almost destroyed everything. The night before launch, one of the women called, voice shaking. I can't do this. I got promoted yesterday, VP of HR. If this blows up, if it looks personal, I could lose everything. If she backed out, we lost the HR violations. We lost half our credibility. Isabel spoke first. He took your career once. Are you going to let him take it again? That's not fair. It's completely fair, another woman said. We all have something to lose.
But we're doing it anyway.
Because the next woman he targets deserves better than our silence. The silence stretched. Then she whispered, okay, I'm in. On March 15th, we released everything at once. I called Aiden's employer. I said professionally, this is Hazel Fletcher from Apex Commercial Real Estate. I'm calling to verify employment for Aiden Herrera. We've received concerning information about financial discrepancies and predatory relationship patterns spanning multiple states. I have documentation from 4 other women he's defrauded. I sent them the complete file. Bank statements showing $50,000 stolen for me alone. Forged signatures on legal documents. LinkedIn messages proving professional fraud. The pattern repeated across 5 women in 5 cities. Aiden was fired within 48 hours. Then Isabel filed with the Massachusetts Bar Association. The HR director reported to licensing boards in 3 states. The forensic accountant sent her analysis to every major firm in the Northeast. The compliance officer's firm issued an industry-wide alert. 5 women, 5 angles, all simultaneously. For 48 hours, nothing. Just silence. I started to panic. What if they'd dismissed it? What if Aiden had connections we didn't know about? Then Isabel called. He's fired. Terminated this morning. The dominoes started falling. His professional license was suspended within a week. The lawsuit hit the court system 2 weeks later. By April, Aiden Herrera couldn't get a job anywhere in our industry. We'd systematically dismantled his ability to do this to anyone else. The call started in April. Aiden's voicemail was desperate. Hazel, please. I've lost everything. This is overkill. I'm begging you, call off the lawsuit. Violet's was accusatory. You've destroyed his career. You've turned our family against me. Mom and Dad are furious. Stop this right now. My mother left messages about family and forgiveness and being the bigger person. I deleted every single one. Because every day Aiden couldn't work in our industry was a day he couldn't target another woman. Every closed door saved someone else. This wasn't revenge. This was prevention. Owen's firm hosted an annual gala every May, black tie, 500 guests, every major player in commercial real estate. This year, I walked in as Owen Fletcher's wife, wearing a dress that cost more than Aiden had stolen in his biggest single month. I didn't expect to see them. We'd destroyed his career, blacklisted him. There was no reason for him to show his face. But I'd underestimated how desperate and delusional he'd become. Aiden and Violet showed up anyway, uninvited. Owen's hand tightened on mine. We can have security remove them before anyone notices.
No.
I watched them across the ballroom. Let them stay. 6 months of preparation. 6 months of building this moment. Now I wanted him to see who did it. Violet in a dress, trying too hard. Aiden in an ill-fitting borrowed suit. They looked like exactly what they were, people who didn't belong here anymore. Violet spotted me and started walking over with Aiden trailing behind. Every head in the vicinity turned to watch. This was it. The moment I'd find out if he'd fight back or finally break. Violet's voice cut through the conversation. Hazel, we need to talk.
Now.
At least 50 people were openly watching. I said calmly, I don't take orders from people who betrayed me. Violet's voice rose. You've destroyed Aiden's career. You've turned our entire family against me. All because you can't handle the fact that he chose someone else over you. Aiden found his voice. You've become a completely different person, Hazel. This vendetta is beneath you. You used to be kind. Now you're just cruel. I looked at him and felt nothing. When I spoke, my voice carried across the room, but my hands were shaking. Despite everything, part of me was terrified I'd lose control.
Scream. Cry.
Give him the satisfaction of watching me break. I took a breath, steadied myself. I told him the truth. I didn't become cruel, Aiden. I just stopped being convenient. The crowd went completely silent. I continued, letting every word land. You stole $50,000 from me over 18 months. You used me to manipulate your way into a career you weren't qualified for. You enlisted my sister to gaslight me about your behavior. Then you abandoned me at the altar because you were too much of a coward to be honest about what you'd done. I took a breath. But here's the thing. You did the exact same thing to 4 other women before me.
Boston.
Chicago. Atlanta. Philadelphia. I paused. You're not a man who made a mistake. You're a predator with a playbook. And I'm just the first one who made you face consequences. His face went bright red. I finished. I didn't destroy your career, Aiden. I didn't destroy him. I just made sure he destroyed himself by being exactly who he is. Silence. Violet's voice went shrill. You're vindictive and cruel, and I'm ashamed to call you my sister. I turned to her slowly. I said, you knew he was stealing from me for 6 months and said nothing. You helped him plan his exit strategy. You stood beside me on my wedding day and let me walk toward a humiliation you helped orchestrate. My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. I continued. I'm not vindictive, Violet. I'm just done being the collateral damage in your life choices. Blood doesn't make you loyal. It just makes you related. Security appeared at Owen's signal. One of them said, Sir, there are 2 individuals here who aren't on the guest list. Owen said calmly, Please escort them out, and make sure they understand they're not welcome at any future company events. I watched them leave. Watched Violet's face crumble as she realized every bridge was permanently burned. Watched Aiden's shoulders sag as the last door slammed shut. The crowd stayed silent for 3 seconds. Then the woman next to Isabel started clapping. Then someone else joined in. Then the entire section erupted in applause. Owen leaned close to me. He said, You just became a legend. I smiled, watching Aiden and Violet disappear through the exit. I told him, No, I just stopped being a victim. Owen asked, There's a difference? I turned to face him. Huge difference. Legends are born. Survivors are built. I'd rather be built. My parents called 3 days after the gala. By then, the video had gone viral, over 2 million views. The comments were overwhelmingly in my favor. My mother's voice was tight. Hazel, you've taken this too far. Violet is devastated. Aiden is struggling to find work. Your father, and I think you need to be the bigger person. I felt something cold settle in my chest. She continued, Drop the lawsuit. Make a public statement saying it was all a misunderstanding. That's when I understood. My pain had always been negotiable to them. I said simply, No. My mother's voice sharpened. Excuse me? I repeated. I said no. Where were you when he was stealing from me? When Violet was lying to protect him? When I was planning a wedding to a man who saw me as an ATM with benefits? My mother tried to deflect. That's different. My voice stayed perfectly calm. It's not different. It's the exact same pattern you've enabled my entire life. Violet makes a mistake, you excuse it. Violet hurts someone, you minimize it. Violet faces consequences. You demand I absorb the damage, so she doesn't have to. My mother's voice went sharp. We're your family. I told her the truth. No, you're Violet's family. I'm just the daughter who was useful when she was achieving things you could brag about. When I needed support, you were silent. When I needed loyalty, you chose her.
Every
single time. My mother said, If you're going to be this ungrateful. I almost laughed. Ungrateful? I paid for my own college, built my own career, Survived my own heartbreak. The only thing you ever gave me was a front row seat to watching you love her more. Silence on the other end. I continued. I'm going to be honest now. I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to hold people accountable. My voice didn't waver. And I'm going to be very successful and very happy while I do it. You just won't be there to see it. My mother's voice went cold. If you're going to be this way, maybe it's better if we don't talk for a while. I felt something break and rebuild in my chest. I said, "You're right. It is better."
Goodbye, Mom.
And I hung up. For the first time in 30 years, I didn't wait for her to hang up first. By November, the dust had completely settled. Aiden had moved to a different city, taken a job that paid a third of what he'd made before. His professional licenses remained suspended in 3 states. Every major firm had his name flagged. He would never do this to anyone else. We'd made sure of that. Violet stopped calling. I heard she'd moved back home, struggling financially. I didn't care. Owen and I closed the Hayes contract in late summer, the deal that made us the largest commercial development firm in the region. The Morrison building was already rising, 20 stories of steel and glass that proved everything we'd said we'd accomplish. We hired all 5 women from the case. Isabel became our general counsel. The others built our HR division, transformed our financial operations, and created an ethics and compliance department that became the model for our industry. We didn't just survive Aiden. We built something from the wreckage that he could never touch. Today, I'm sitting in the conference room where everything started. Across from me are 4 other women. Isabel, my general counsel, the HR director, the CFO, the head of compliance. The 5 of us built this together. From the wreckage of what Aiden destroyed, we created something he could never touch. Outside the window, the Morrison building rises 20 stories into a cloudless sky. The Hayes project is breaking ground next month. We have 3 more major developments in the pipeline worth over $500 million combined. My phone buzzes. Another message from Violet's number. I don't even glance at it. Owen looks up from his contract. He asks, "Them again?" I delete it without reading. Doesn't matter. Owen agrees, smiling. No, it doesn't. Isabel raises her glass. She says, "To the 5 women who refuse to stay broken." We all echo, "To refusing to stay broken." As I sign the final page of the Hayes contract, I realize something fundamental. Aiden and Violet spent so much energy trying to use me, to manipulate me, to position themselves in my orbit, that they never realized the person they were trying to control was always going to outgrow them. They thought I was a stepping stone. I was always the entire staircase. And now they're standing at the bottom, looking up at a door that closed permanently the moment they stopped being useful. I lean back in my chair, surrounded by women who survived the same predator I did, in the office of the empire we built from our collective pain. They'll never understand that the person they tried to erase was the one who saved everyone, including the women who came after. And I don't look back.